Well, welcome to another edition of the Talking Parra podcast. This is NRL season 2023, and this is round 2. Parramatta take on the Sharks. Joining us tonight is Tate from M.Tatey Sports TV. We have a newcomer off the bench. We have Joel from A League of Inches sitting in for Heydan, who is still overseas enjoying himself over there in the US. Shout out to Heydan if you're listening or watching. I hope you're enjoying yourself. We have myself, Troy, from the Parra Cave podcast, and we also have our illustrious host, Mr. Adam Martin, where I'll throw it over to you, mate.
Wonderful. I would say, first of all, Heydan, if you're in America watching us, you really need to get a life. We're not that special, so I hope you're enjoying your time over there. And look, hopefully we found a replacement for you when you never have to come back. I mean, no, I didn't mean that. Come on, Heydan. Can't wait to have you back. Enjoy your trip. Let's start. Look, I'm still angry. I'm still a bit fired up. I'm not going to lie. Every result went perfectly on the weekend, besides our result. And I had so much flashbacks. I had so much PTSD from last year and the things that happened last year. But I'm going to start with what we can confirm. And I don't want to be that person that blames the referees for the loss of the game. But I thought the refereeing across the weekend in most games was a bit disgraceful. But I'm going to bring up a key moment that obviously it's been touched on. Graham Anstey came out and said they got it wrong. And I want to raise the point of that one because, like I said, it's one thing we know that definitely was wrong that didn't go in our favour, and that was the captain's challenge. What I don't get is, me as a fan, look, I call myself a part-time referee, obviously a long four rugby league. I knew they screwed that up straight away. I knew the referee screwed up. But then for the bunker to watch, I'm sitting there going, he can't put the ball on the ground. He can't put the ball on the ground. Now they've come out and said they got it wrong. So we can't blame the referee, but there was a few key moments that just before the end of the game, Cameron Munster was allowed to throw the ball off the ground, which would have been a penalty 45 out right in front. Given Mitch's history of pressure kicks, he probably would have missed it, but you never know, do you? You never know what could happen. We might have even not gone for the kick. We might have found touch and kicked a field goal. With Sivo forward pass try, I thought was questionable. Definitely looked out the hands backwards. No doubt it floated forward, but this goes both ways. But the amount of forward passes that were missed by both teams, we threw some as well, but I just want to raise the point. The point I want to raise is, how is Ashley Klein still the number one referee in the game? And how do we get so lucky that we get him every game? I swear we get him at first game every year. I know it was the main game, kick off the season. He's classified as number one, but there's a lot better referees, a lot better young referees coming through, and I've had enough of this bloke. So that's my referee rant. Anyone want to touch on any of those key moments before we go into the game? Anything else I missed? I thought they got away with style and play the ball down as well. It seemed the whole game was designed around Melbourne's streak and protecting the streak. And it just fucking pisses me off when you're looking forward to a football match from – it's all right. There's no language warning on this one. It's 9 o'clock at night, all right? I don't care what time you listen to it. It's 9 o'clock at night. Bear's gone to sleep and the kids are gone to sleep. So 9 o'clock, we can say what we want, and it really did piss me off. I don't know. You look forward to footy, you come back for so long, and it gets ruined by shit decisions by an incompetent referee, and then a bunker that makes the same mistake. All right, Matt, what do you got? Are you still angry? I want angry, Matt.
No, I'm still raging. Don't you worry. But yeah, the pass off the ground for mine, clear pass off the ground. I don't care whether it's after full time or whatever. That's a penalty every day of the week. I don't know. Just some of the calls, like every single time we kicked downfield, Munster was a blocker. Munster was just niggling our players. You should have got your bold prediction right. He should have been sent to the sin bin that first half. The way he was laying all over us, the way he just kneeing in the face. When he was getting up, he throw cheap knees to the face and elbows. And and then when Will got head knock, they're saying it was just chest on chest or some crap. I don't know.
I was going to go that to one of our key moments of the game, but how can they watch a replay of something and go, okay, there was no contact with the head, then 2 seconds later, Ashley Klein, here I am. Head injury, you've got to go off. So clearly there was contact with the head. They're saying it was a head clash, but didn't we see players get, was it lodged? Was it got sin binned or whatever for a head clash a couple of years ago? So there's just no consistency in the game. It seems like every year we come back, we just have this hope that it gets better. And there's just always so many questions asked. The most frustrating thing, which I've got to touch on, was that rule, obviously, about the player getting to their feet and playing the ball. In Ennisley's press conference, he turned, he said, we contacted all the clubs about this and we focused on it. If you fucking focused on it so hard, why did you get it wrong 70 minutes in the start of the season? Like, you know, I get they're going to get mistakes. We're all human, we make mistakes, but something you would have focused on. It's like saying Magic Round 2 years ago. Was it 2000? Was it 20? What was the sin bin year? 2021?
Yeah.
You know, it's like saying, we knew we were going to crack down on sin bins, but we let one of them go. You know, we let the first one go just as a nice thing to do. Like, no, if you have a crackdown on something, you get it right. Joel, I'll throw to you. Your thoughts?
I've got to agree a lot of what you said. I think they play the ball, and it's obviously the Melbourne Storm tactic. They've been doing it for years, and we keep getting told they're cleaning it up. The NRL's going hard on them, but it just doesn't happen. And I remember watching on Thursday night, and there was a clear difference I felt in the speed. And you look, people might say that's our team, Parra, just not controlling the ruck well, but it's just the way the Melbourne do it. Like, they're always got their hands in places where, just players don't put their hands in normal tackles. They're good at what they do, but the referee should be onto that a lot more. And you touched on a couple of the calls. Like, I thought that Sevo try, the first one he got, was a try. I didn't think it was forward. So I think it went back out of the hands and then probably line ball at best. And I think the commentators agreed with that one as well. So, and that could be a big turning point straight away, because then you know what we're like at home. If we get Sevo confident, the rest of the team gets confidence, and all of a sudden we've got a nice little lead to go off, and the crowd gets into it straight away. So it was hard. And just like what you're saying with the refs, I just feel like as a whole, the game at the moment, the more the technology is used, the worse the refereeing's getting, I feel like, because they know they've got that to fall back on. And I just feel like, I know we always say it, but it's never going to happen. But the less we use technology, that's when the referees will get better again, because they have to take more ownership of their calls. At the moment, I just feel like each year it's getting worse. So, which is a shame, because I feel like the players and the game is getting better and the skills are a lot better. But the referees just can't keep up, it seems.
And you're right. And the frustrating thing for me is, if you look back at the Nines, when the last time the Nines were on, which would have been started 2020 before COVID, in the Nines, there was no video referee. Remember, there was a big thing about there was no video referee. The referees have to make the decisions, blah, 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 blah. And it didn't worry if they made a mistake, as I said, because they're human. But when you've got that technology there, it's like they rely on it. And then the frustrating part that steps in is when the technology gets it wrong as well. Like, things shouldn't be looked at. There's two examples in the game: the Penasini high shot on Penasini, and the play the ball, where they had time to check both of them and just turned around and said, no, it's not going to work, are they? Troy, I'm still frustrated. I hate Melbourne. I hate Ashley Klein. Go, Troy.
Well, basically, you've covered off on all the points, all three of you. Obviously, the Mazda pass off the ground. Well, that was just ridiculous. Everyone could see that one, that you can't do that. And just short, I think it was that pass that led to, I'm not too sure who he passed it to, but he ran behind a player as well that after that very pass. So where's the Shepherd penalty? Because he didn't lay down and take the tackle. He tried to play on. But also the Melbourne Storm, they were very, they did lay over all the ruck all the time and slow the play of the ball down every single play. But one thing also too that they were very good at, and maybe questionable as well, is their line speed. They were very quick off the line. So were they on side every single time?
Three front rowers in a charge down attempt for a field goal out of nowhere. Like, they were nowhere on side.
So very fast off the line. Their line speed was very fast. But in saying that, we did have a chance to win the game. We were in that game, and we just did make a few silly mistakes, like the Sevo kick out on the first tackle, maybe not the taking of the two when we got that penalty in front. That was early on in the game, and Dylan Brown as well would had a game that he would like to forget, and he had a few drop balls at crucial times as well. So
yeah. We'll get on to that. We'll get on to the game now. Because like I said, you can't blame the referee because we did make some very dumb, very poor choices. You've highlighted a couple of them there. Look, I'm not going to blame Sivo. Sivo's a winger. Wingers hang out with footballers. So for Sivo to get that play, that comes back to our halves and our captains of making that call, whoever's making that call to run it. Now, we don't run scrum plays. We ran a scrum play actually in the first half, and I was like, holy shit, we ran a scrum play. And I love
running the ball a lot.
We
were, and we'll get to the attack because we were moving the ball well, but just we were clunky. But let's go through those key moments. And the Sivo over the line and kicking the ball didn't need to go to him. Dylan had already ran him out of space. His angle was straight towards the sideline. I don't blame Sivo. Look, he probably should have got bundled over the sideline, not given away a 7-tackle set. But just the play calling was dumb. But there's another one which I thought was a key moment. And, this was one of my pet hates last year, inability to be composed and build pressure. And it come off when Melbourne leveled up the scores at 12-all. We could have put a grubber in the in goal. Hodgson come out. He could have put it. Moses could have put it. I can't remember what the hell we did with the ball. But we did something stupid with the ball instead of trying to build pressure, and Melbourne went up the other end and scored. And it's shit like that I said at the start that it takes me back to last year, the early games last year when we were making those dumb mistakes. You think back to some of those ones. The only repeat set we got all game was from Josh Hodgson grubbing the ball in the in goal, which he sat there and practiced in the warm-up for a good solid 3 to 4 minutes, maybe even longer. I don't know. You don't win comps in round ones, but you don't need to do everything perfect in round one. So if you go back to your basics, that's really where things should be getting worked. But I want to talk quickly about the last moment of Mitchell Moses is throwing I feel like Brown's copped a lot of heat off the fans, and he's both mentioned it. Troy's mentioned it. I didn't think Brown was that bad. I thought he tried his ass off, really. He tried to run the ball without having Sean Lane there, which is his biggest strength last year because they both had standout seasons. He was just easy pickings. He was working with new second row. Mitch was quite the same. For me, Moses, I don't know. I think he downgraded his contract that game on Thursday night, in my opinion. I think it's playing on his mind. I know we've been talking in our group chat about it all week, but you can see it's on his mind because he played like fucking shit, and that's as simple as I'm going to put it. The dumb mistakes he made, the stupid things he did, like, was he carrying an injury? It was like he didn't want to get tackled. I don't think he took the line on once. And then he had an opportunity, like that last play that we had with the ball, where he threw the stupid cutout pass. Mitch would have lapped that up, and there was broken play there. He was stepped inside and gone down the middle of the field, but he just didn't want to run it. So, yeah, that's my frustration with the key moment. So have I missed anyone? Got any? Start with you first, Troy. We cut them off you last time.
Yeah, no, I think we've sort of covered all those key moments. But, one of my questions is why do they leave it up to Mitch to kick the field goal all the time? I mean, you got Gutho there, you got Dylan Brown there.
They had it set up, the old switch from Mitch to Gutho, but then Dylan went the opposite way and overcalled him. So, and then Sivo kicked it out.
But you look at Melbourne when they were setting up. They had Munster, they had Jerome Hughes, and they had Nick Meaney as well, all ready to take the field goal. So there was always that guessing game as to who's actually going to take the shot. Unfortunately, they didn't need the shot to win the game, but they just had plenty of options. Whereas when we were in that field goal range, it was usually just Mitch, and that was it. The other thing too, I think, is his kicking game as well. It always seems to go the fullback and wingers on the full,
straight down the throat.
all the time.
That's one of the things I was screaming out in the crowd. I was kick the ball on fourth, because their wingers were dropping back so late. I'm going, kick the ball like
he literally could have hit so many 40-20s in that match as well.
And I understand that you've got to build pressure by kicking it to them all the time. There was a debut winger on the Melbourne side, Will Warburg. So you do have to build that pressure, but it just seems like throughout the whole game there was kick to the fullback and winger on the full. And as you said, that first that Josh Hodgson grubble was probably the only kick along the ground.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the thing that does my head in is I don't know where our mid-floating bombs and stuff are. I feel like all the teams do it. Like there's so many out there, and we just we never try and mix it up. And even just there was a period in that game where it was just back and forth. And I think our forwards sort of looked a little bit tired for a stage. I thought there was a part there where Moses could have just directed a kick to the touch and let the boys have a quick breather and get back into them, get Storm coming 20 metres out from their own line. And as you said, Troy, it's just repeatedly that kick that's from like our 40 over to their 20. And it's like, it's not high enough to get any pressure on the catcher. It's just we'll put it in the corner. And it happened all last year. So it's obviously a tactic. But look, I know we're a tough football side now. We want to play that tough footy. But I think you need to be a bit smarter in your kicking game as well, because Mitch has got it. Mitch has got a great boot, and he's up there with Nathan Clear as one of the best kickers in the game. But I just feel like, I don't know whether it's him who's mentioned that to the boys to do it that way, or Brad Arthur said something, but wherever the message is coming from, I think it needs to be mixed up a little bit more.
Well, we saw it the last 2 times we've seen Mitch put up the bomb was that semi-final against Penrith, and Dylan Edwards wanted nothing to do with it, and Wanga scored. And last year against Penrith, where yet again Dylan Edwards didn't want nothing to do with it, and Dylan scored. But the problem, so I spoke to him before the game about those kicks, and we saw him put one up with 1 second left, just a bomb and hope. And we see him practicing it kind of before pre-game. The reason he doesn't do it as often as Cleary and Burton stuff, he's got the biggest kick in the NRL. If he was to do it, he just can't get it accurate enough like they can, which I don't know. Like, to me,
he's got to be training for that.
Well, why doesn't he try it more?
Yeah, obviously, you know what I mean? Like,
so what you're saying is he's not worth $1.25 million because he can't get a kick properly.
Yeah, well,
it's
just an accuracy thing, apparently. So,
I'd say now I could put a torpy up and land on someone's chest every day, and I'm not a professional footballer that gets paid to play football and trains every day. So, it's something he needs to work on. But I think you're probably right, Joel. It probably comes back down to coaching. The reason they put those midfield lofty bombs instead of kicking them flat is it gives the chasers time to get up there. And we've seen ever since they went back to the 8 interchanges. Is it 8? We're at 8 now, aren't we? Yeah, it was 12, then 10, then 8.
Yeah.
Ever since we've gone back to the 8 interchanges, it's seen the game change so much. And little tactics have come in, e.g. the short dropout. The short dropout isn't always there to try. I know you hate it, but it's not always there to get the ball back.
When you're in front, don't do it.
It's to get your defensive line set.
Early in the game, don't do it.
I know. Yeah, but it's so funny when the game's locked at 6-all, how they all of a sudden go away from it. But it's all that tactic is. Like, look, you can get the ball back. There's a percentage you get the ball back. But the biggest thing about it is your defensive line is set straight away. So your big boys aren't going running up the 30 back to the 20, then gradually working up and back and making less meters up and back every time. So I get that tactic behind it, but it's just one of the things that's changing in the game. Anyone else got anything about any key moments from the game? Disappointing ones? I'm going to go through some player reviews. And you guys know I bagged out Lumi last week. Look, what can I say? He was probably responsible for letting him one try with a poor effort. He did his job in attack. He tried hard. I thought Sivo was equally as disappointing getting out of trouble. The effort, like the lack this one there, their meters, I'll get their meters up now, but their meters just weren't good enough. It's one thing Sivo really worked on last year, which was getting his meters up, because we know how much we struggled, pretty much after Ferguson left to do that. But if you look at their run meters, we've got Sivo 13 runs for 97 meters, which is okay, but Lumi 11 runs for 61 meters. Obviously, I only played the 71 minutes to Sivo's 84, so going off of that HA, but it gets us off on a bad start. And I'll move on to the next thing, which is, once again, we're going back in time here, but the bench rotation. Obviously, Paulo and Regan Campbell Gillard come off at the same time, and it's one of those moments where we really need our wing.
They split a bit longer, I think, though.
They did, yeah. Paulo put in a massive stint. That's why. An absolute huge stint. He played a great game. But we need our wingers, centres to stand up in that situation because we're obviously going to struggle making those moves when those big boys go off, which brings me to the next point of that rotation. another frustration is once again using 16 of 17 players. I thought Greg had little to no impact. The bloke just continues to, for the size of him, like, someone needs to get him angry. I don't know how we can get him angry. Like, if we get the crowd to start, Greg is a
Why not put him on the field?
Just something. So the bloke's huge. He could
broke a bloke's jaw last year.
Yeah, well, I want him angry with the ball though. Like, just run the ball hard. Like, he just walks at him. But then Murchie, like, I didn't think Murchie would be used as a front rower. And he ran for 13 runs for 116 metres in 37 minutes, which is actually quite good. But I don't know, we just seem to lack that impact off the bench once again. So we had opportunities to do something about that by signing a couple of players, which we didn't do. But the disappointing thing for me was you got someone like Makatoa. I know his hands aren't always great, but we really need to impact somewhere in that game with the front rowers to come on and charge on the ball. So, anyone got anything to add in regards to rotation? Or
well, Makatoa last year in that Melbourne game, the round 2 game, he was at Nelson.
Yep.
And nothing, didn't even bring him on to go at Nelson again. Like,
I'm glad you mentioned that because last week I did say a big F you to Nelson. We're not swearing anymore, guys. I just decided because I knew he'd do something stupid. Well, he did. He had to have his last or say the crowd. He hadn't forgotten what happened last year. He copped it that whole last round 25 game. And Nelson, I'll see you in Melbourne on the 28th of July, and I'm ready to go again, big Nelson, all right?
Hang on, what do you mean ready to go again? You didn't go last Thursday night, so
I didn't.
He come out and jumped straight on the bus. He didn't.
He didn't see me. He was doing these ones going, come over here, Nelson, I'll take you. Yeah, so I'm pretty tough 13 rows back. Anything to add, Joel, from obviously disappointing performance? We'll get to the positives soon. Only 2. But
I do agree on the interchanges and stuff. I know it's only round 1 and the big boys probably want to, like Paulo and RCG, want to have a bit of a stretch of legs out and stuff, but I do worry about overusing them throughout this season and burning them out. So especially because our bench isn't as strong as I think as it was last year, especially with Lane and Matto out. So once those boys are back, we should be able to strengthen a little bit more, but it's definitely a concern at the moment because I noticed it straight. I was worried because as soon as it's got to about 25, 30-minute mark and I saw them sort of both on or just starting to come off, I was thinking, oh, no, we're about to have a 15, 20-minute period here with both our props, who I personally rate as probably 2 of the best 3 or 4 props in the game, off at the same time. So it's a hard one because they probably both want to start and we need them to probably start and lay the platform. But at the same time, we need to try and, I feel like, work out a way to have them, at least one of them, on the field at all times. It's because they're so crucial to what we do and how we build our game. Like, and I think that Hodgson, that try to Paulo is just a preview of what's to come. I think Hodgson can really combine well with the 2 props. And we've seen RCG last year, how he can, once he makes a little bit of a break, he can actually motor a bit. So getting them into little holes and stuff and working that with the hooker, it's going to be dangerous for us. But yeah, I just worry about that burnout factor just from what we've seen from that. But I know we've got players out and that's what we can go back on to say. But yeah, I just think Bellamy or a Robson or something would have probably done their interchanges a little bit better in my eyes.
Yeah, and you're probably right. And one thing that actually escaped my mind until Thursday night, because you mentioned obviously Hodgson there, was Hodgson and Paul actually played together. I forgot they played together at Canberra. So there was a little bit of a combination, a little bit of a preview of what they can work. I think one of Hodgson's strengths was when he had, obviously, Paulo there that year. They had a good run. They were thereabouts for a few years. But Paulo and Papali'i was, Papali, when he was there, they had that combination. He was really good at, what we called last year, just trying to the barge overs, but he's a bit more creative about it. So there was a couple of nice little plays that, look, I'll go to it now. I thought we moved the ball quite well, but we were just clunky. So I didn't walk away, besides the negativity, I didn't walk away from that game too disheartened. I was disappointed with some of the moments and disappointed with some of the players not standing up. And to be honest, I just think some of the players aren't good enough. And I touched on that last week. But I thought our backline movement, and I'm never going to say this again, Matthew, but I thought Cardi was quite solid as well when we're going through the positives. He had a really solid game and he didn't do anything stupid. Threw one flick pass.
That's all he had to do is just run.
He threw one flick pass on tackle 1, but it was absolutely brilliant. It was unnecessary as anything, but it was brilliant. But I think what we saw there was a couple of times where Hodgson was just putting the ball a little bit behind, which could be rustiness or it could be Mitch's timing or Dylan's timing. We didn't quite get it right. But if we get that stuff right, we are going to be an entertaining team to watch.
You look at how slick they were against Newcastle in that trial, and then they came out and was clunky. So
yeah, but
you can see when they get it right. I know it's Newcastle.
East Mount under Griffin, 12s under Griffins could be at the Knights at the moment, mate. Like, anyone could look good against them. I'm just going to run through some key stats here before we go into obviously our players and those kind of things. So Paulo made 20 runs for 208 metres in 6 game minutes, which is a massive effort round one. Campbell Gillard, 22 runs, 199 metres in 59 minutes. I'm going to do it, Matt. Cartwright, 20 runs, 153 metres. Wasn't quite over that magic number where you want him to be, which is about 8 per run. But 28 tackles, only 2 offloads. And most importantly for Cartwright, which has been one of my criticisms of him, 28 of 29 tackles. So it really did make me nervous more defensively. I know he can just tuck the ball, but, protecting our halves there. And we'll go to, obviously, I'm going to spoil it early, but my player of the game, which was Hopgood. 21 runs, 172 metres, 57 tackles, played every minute. Possibly the best debut I think I've seen for Parramatta. He's a workhorse. Future captain, probably. I don't even know. How old is he? Does anyone know how old is he? 23, 22?
22.
22. I haven't seen a player make me that excited to turn up the way he turned up for his shirt since High Marsh. And he's going to get comparisons to High Marsh if he keeps doing that. Because he was just there. Like, look, he missed a couple. I can't say he was responsible for the one at the end, but he missed 7 tackles, 89%. But to play 84 minutes in the middle, your first game, and it's, your first game for your new club as a starting NRL player, it's massive. So, Troy, we've kept you quiet for a bit because we've probably spoken about everything we've already want to say. But who is your best player? And, anything you've got to add from the positives?
Positive. Well, look, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit and just...
Go negative, are we?
I go negative about Melbourne.
He's going to say something negative, guys. This is grand.
No, about Melbourne.
Oh, okay.
We're going right back.
Just quickly, because it just came...
We're not going back to 2017, are we? I'm not over that yet.
No, just the cramping and the game stopping for the cramping. There was like 1 or 2 minutes, 3 minutes wasted for that one. So... That's obviously something.
It was round one.
It doesn't matter. You can't stop the game for 2-3 minutes for a cramp, mate. Just give the ball to someone else, play the ball, and move on. But anyway, okay. So
actually, before we go this, can we go back to one negative? And it's not really a negative, but being there, did anyone feel like they had it's a thing, and we can say Penrith probably suffered from as well, but the thing called the grand final hangover. Now, I feel like I suffered from a grand final hangover being there. To go from the last game we attended, I had obviously the high of Townsville going into the grand final, which was disappointing, but going to a grand final with 90,000 people and everything on the line and the majority of the crowd Parramatta fans, did anybody else, feel like just the atmosphere and it just wasn't there? Like, it just didn't feel the same?
I think it was Thursday night.
Yeah, they are hard to...
Yeah.
Even though it is the first round of the game, first round of the competition, they are still hard to get a decent crowd too because of the Thursday night and school the next day, so the kids can't go and stuff like that. So they are hard to try and get a massive crowd. But you would have thought that before the game, you would have got a decent crowd there, being the first game of the year, being against Melbourne, making the grand final last year. You would have thought there would have been a bigger crowd. So
I didn't think 17 was that disappointing for a Thursday night. The crowd would be.
It wasn't. It was one of the highest crowd figures around.
We're so fussy these days. Like, we just expect because we get such big crowds, we have so many members. But look back to some of the crowds we used to get at the old Parramatta Stadium in the not so glory days.
Remember when we got 5K? Remember those days?
Yeah, and that's a regular thing. If we played an out-of-town team like the Cowboys or Melbourne, we're lucky in a way. And look, I'm going to mention them again twice on a podcast, but people always base the Knights crowds off, they're so good, they always get such consistent crowds. Their consistent crowds are 21, 22, around that 19,000 mark, really. They rely so much on up here how many people. You go to a game, they play Parramatta, there'll be 22, 23,000 there. There'll be 6,000 or 7,000 Parramatta fans there. Well, there was probably, 300 Melbourne fans, and I got one right in front of me, of course, but there was probably 300 Melbourne fans there. So 17,000 on Thursday night. If that game was a Saturday night or even a Friday night, that's probably 2 or 3 extra thousand there. So it wasn't so much the amount of people there. It was just, I felt like everyone, you can probably safely assume, except for the few bandwagons come on, there are the 17,000 people there, 16,000 would have been at the grand final last year. If you're going to turn up the grand final, you're going to turn up to round one. So I think probably everyone was kind of taken back by it. And I don't know, like just the hype wasn't there. It's so hard to come down from. So hopefully we get that moment again. Hopefully we get that push to the finals. But
round 4, I think you'll find that it's a Thursday night game against the Panthers. So I think you'll find that that'll be a sellout. There'll be a decent crowd there. So yeah, if a sellout, if not,
depends on if Penrith win.
High 20,000. So
I reckon that'll be about 23, 24 on a Thursday for that one. I think the biggest one will be the Bulldogs game on the Sunday. I think that'll be our first sellout of the year. So
yeah, but to the game, my players of the game, I thought all the new recruits did really well. I thought, as you said, Jack Murchie, he went pretty good. Matt Dury, he went all right. He did look tired at times, but he did really well. I thought he made a couple of really decent runs there. But yeah, you can't go past Jermaine Hopgood. He's most of the Supercoach teams, and he got the highest VB index score there, man of the round. So yeah, he's just a work machine. 57 tackles.
Favorite.
Yeah, I think so. And as you said, he's going to create a lasting legacy at Parramatta. And he, as Heydan Knowles said on my podcast this week, he's come from Penrith. He's going to bring those training standards to Parramatta from Penrith, and he's going to lift everybody around him. So he's that sort of player. And so
do you want to bring up quickly, Troy? Do you want to bring up what he said about him at the All-Stars as well?
Yeah. So he was playing the All-Stars games, as we know, for the Indigenous side, and Heydan was the trainer for the Indigenous side, and he said to one of the players, he said, "Oh, look, I think Jermaine's looking a bit tired. We should maybe get him off," because during the trial games, obviously it was, I think it was unlimited interchange, and the player just turned around and he goes, "No, mate, he's all right." This is after 75 minutes, mind you. He's all right. He's going all right. He's a gun. He's a gun. And when you get that sort of a comment from a senior player, a senior representative player, then you know that you got something special at your club.
Yeah, sure. I thought he was outstanding. Joel?
A lot of what you touched on. I'll give Cartwright a quick shout out as well, because I sort of
Matty, you'll love that.
You're welcome back anytime according to that. Yeah.
It's more so about, there was a little moment in the game, and it was early on, I'm pretty sure it was, and there was a loose ball on the ground, and he was actually there and actually ran and jumped on it, and sort of the Cartwright of old wouldn't have done that. And I just thought, I was a bit worried when he was named to start, purely for the fact that when I think about versing the Storm and the way we play, we're sort of that real tough football side, and you've got to be that against Melbourne. And I didn't think Cartwright had that in him to be that for 80 minutes, because I thought he would have had to play long minutes on Thursday night. And to see him actually do that, and yeah, you sort of mentioned that maybe made one mistake or so, but I thought he really stood up and put a claim down to at least be in the starting 17 week in, week out, which I think is a good thing for us Parra fans and the team moving forward, to have that X factor coming off the bench. So a big sort of part for the team moving forward there. I think Hopgood, as you said, I remember Papali'i when his debut against Brisbane up at Suncorp a few years ago, and I said at the time that was of what I can remember, the best club debut I've watched, and Hopgood's overtaken him for mine. That was just so tough, and his performance, like the fact that he even just got the cut above the eye, and that just typified him, where taped it up, kept going, didn't stop at all. I just love seeing that, the fact that we've got one of those players now in our 13 that's just going to not stop. And you know that Reggie and Junior's going to back him up every day of the week. And when Lane comes back, he'll be in there as well. So
I think he's going to have the tape around his head every single week now. I think
it's iconic now.
Absolutely.
Everyone, I expect you to try next home guest. So Friday, go with the head strap.
Black tape.
So start it up. In the backs, I thought Penasini was pretty promising. I feel like he's in for another big year. So really keen to see what he can do. I know we had most of our backs there, but just felt like we were weak for some reason. Just felt like we were missing something. I don't know what it was, but maybe it's that round one. Maybe the players still have that grand final hangover, which is weird to say. But I thought Dill Brown, we've sort of mentioned it already, was a little bit quiet for his standards. Ads, I know you mentioned that you probably thought it was a bit better game than what we're giving him credit for. And maybe just that, maybe getting used to Hodgson factor, which I think will be a really good signing for us as the year goes on. I really thought he had showed some really good promise. And I know watching the Dogs game on Saturday, you sort of seen what we could have had, but I think Hodgson will do a job. I'm really excited to see him over the next couple of years link in with the forwards. So I think overall, I know we started with some negatives and there was quite a few, but I think when you look at it overall, it's there. It hurts that it was against Melbourne and we lost the way we did. I think that's what hurts the most.
Yeah, you're right. And just touching on Penasini, and maybe that's something missing in the back line. We didn't seem to get him enough ball in the second half. Like we seemed to be getting him ball. He looked dangerous when he had the ball. And then all of a sudden we went away from that. And then, look, we lost Lumi, and then we lost Penasini at the same time. So we obviously had a pretty reshuffled back line there. You saw Wonga just go like this at one stage.
Wonga was playing both wing and opposite centre.
Yeah.
We had two front rowers on the centre and wing at one stage as well.
Yeah, we did, and it was and Cardi.
A pretty fair effort from someone who hasn't played any trial games either. It was his first game.
I feel for Wonga. I feel like he gets unfairly treated by a lot of the fans. So
I don't know about you, but when that bomb went up to him towards the end of the game, I was like, oh no, not again. The PTSD was coming back from being in Melbourne, that's for sure. Right, Matt, what do you got? Your positives?
Yeah, so I'm going to say Cartwright. All right. So basically he's worked hard in the off season at his game. BA pulled him in the sheds last year and said, with Papali'i leaving, that's your spot if you take it. I know he's trained the house down. He's probably the fittest he's ever been. I realized what I said then. Adam hasn't said anything, but it's
I didn't actually hear what he said because I was trying to look up how long he's actually been playing.
Yeah,
I heard.
Yeah. So he done really well. He got told just run the ball and only offload when the opportunity came. But yeah, Hopgood. You can't go past Hopgood. I still remember that. Remember it was that trial match a couple years back at Panthers, Battle of the West. We just signed Fergo. We were up 30-0 or something, and they bring in this young kid called Jermaine Hopgood. And I remember turning to one of the Penrith officials and one of the members saying, who is this kid? He's going to be a gun. And they said, don't even think about it. A couple years later, he's at Parra. And yeah, it's good to see him actually get an opportunity. And he wants to bring that, in his words, he wants to bring the Isaiah Yeo into Parramatta type player. So
he's going to whinge a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, we saw he's going to be a captain. We saw him have a few disagreements on some of the decisions on the field with the boys. He wanted to take the 2 when we were 2-0 up. They chose to run it. We dropped the ball first tackle. I remember him turning around, giving him an earful. The way he approached the ref as well after the game, questioning him about the Munster pass off the ground. Yeah, he's going to be captain in a couple of years for sure. If not,
he's already had that experience as well.
Yeah, he captained New South Wales Cup to a premiership. Got Player of the Year for Panthers and for New South Wales Cup. So I feel like if I'm a Parramatta official right now, I'm preparing a long-term deal. Do not wait until his contract's up and we end up where we are every year with all our players. But
that's exactly what they'll do. They'll wait.
Wait till they They better not.
I'd give it a few games because we've seen a lot of players not be able to make that step from New South Wales Cup to first grade. And he's obviously done it week 1, but he's got to continue that and back it up. So I think he will. He looks like a natural player. I was going to touch on one thing you said, Matt, and it's not the comment I missed because I would have been all over that, that's for sure. You say Cartwright.
You'll have to go back and listen to the podcast.
Oh, 100% will. Don't worry. I'll listen to our podcast the first ever time. But the Bryce Cartwright turning around and, maturing as a player, you do realise he made his debut in 2014, don't you?
No, I didn't. You know what I mean? He was told that spot's his if he wants it, and he's trained hard. So, yeah, hopefully.
Because he had been known in the past to be a mistake-riddled player. Options, do the wrong
My fear with him is when he comes off the bench, it's like he thinks he's got to put 80 minutes worth of performance into 10. So we saw him starting. For me, and I love Matto, don't get me wrong, he's a great bloke and a good player, but I think Matto has to earn his spot back now, and I think he has to do it the hard way, like he did last year, because I know the club had a bit of involvement, but in my opinion, and I get why he did it, but a pretty selfish decision was made. Lane's obviously going to come back in the break and Jory slots back in, but if Cartwright keeps up those performance, I have no problem with Madison coming off the bench. That kind of eliminates that issue. And the advantage of Madison coming off the bench, I think our season turned around last year when Madison started at lock, which isn't going to happen, but he's big enough to play in the middle. When we started, we started dropping him back to the bench at the back end of the year and come on and played a bit of lock front row wherever he had to play. That helped you out, so that could be an option as well. So
I personally reckon that's how we should go as well, especially with it might ease that what I said earlier about the reliance on Junior and Reg as well a bit. So I think Matto, that's what I was about to say before as well, is I think there's a second row spot opened up between Dury and Cartwright potentially to take to start week in, week out, because I'd say Lane obviously has the mortgage on one side, and then there's that other side, because I'd have Matto off the bench for the rest of the year, to be honest. And that's not because I'm still angry at him for choosing this suspension, but I just think that's his most valuable to us in that position at the moment. And I think that's a specialised position now, is that forward coming off the bench who can make a real impact and keep what we'll have already started with our gun props and Hopgood going there. So, yeah, I'd have Matto definitely starting on the bench and making him pretty much putting it down to him, saying this is what you've got to do for the team week in, week out, and maintain that from that 25th minute mark to the 65th minute mark or so, you continue on. So, and if he is playing well and we get an injury or HIA in the second row, he can obviously go and fill that in, and that's a bonus for us. But yeah, definitely, I reckon preferably as a middle.
He can play anywhere. That's the thing. Like, he can even go to 5'8", as we know, but he can play any of the forwards. But it's unrealistic to think that Hopgood can play every minute of every game as well. So, giving him.
I think with Junior, I think we've seen on Thursday they're trying to make him ball play a little bit more. So I think Matto could be good in that situation as well, being that prop who can ball play. Obviously, he's had the 5'8" a lot of his career, so definitely that would be second nature to him.
Yeah, and that's the only criticism I can't with Hopgood, was his ball playing wasn't quite the level of Madison, and it'll come. There's no doubt it'll come, but it kind of did contribute to that clunkiness. And probably that first 15, 20 minutes, I thought he did a bit too much of it. And then obviously started tucking and running. No one else got anything to add about last week's game? Can we put it in the past?
Just quick one. Matt Dury in defence closing the inside holes.
Yeah.
When he did it?
No, when they passed back inside,
he was there.
He was there every time to close that hole. Like, his sliding defense was amazing. So
I just hope he can stay fit.
We haven't had that player doing that. It did
catch him out once, though, doing that when young Tonopia went straight through, because he moved in too early. And if young Tonopia is busting your line, it doesn't really. Is
that before or after his cramp?
He must have been feeling good. It could have been after the magic pickle juice. Yeah, he did score a try as well, but we'll put that down to Limmy. All right, let's get on this week's game. The dreaded 6 o'clock on a Friday game. I hate it. I finished work early, which probably we're done on a Friday anyway. But then the only thing, it's just awkward. I just hate it. It's the stupidest time slot ever. We spoke about it last week, and I said this game needs to be only in New Zealand. I don't know where else. Give it that stupid state up north. Oh, sorry, Joel.
I'm New South Wales at heart, so
yeah, give them that. Give them like the having at 9 o'clock and I don't know 7:30, 9:30, something 8:30 there. I just hate 6 o'clock. Anyway, I'm not going. We did that last week, but 6 o'clock Friday against Cronulla. Cronulla coming off a loss. Obviously, Wade Graham out suspended. Very luckily for 3 weeks. He's lucky didn't hit him a little bit.
4 weeks.
4 weeks. He got
4. Yeah, he fought it.
Fought it.
Well, that was stupid, Wade. That was very.
He
stupid.
went for he fought it with a different. He wanted to get a different charge. So
What stupidity?
He left the ground.
If he was that much higher, the ball didn't protect old mate, and he would have been getting 8 weeks because it was. Yeah, I love it. It was tough.
When he said he was going to fight it, I couldn't believe it because he was going to contradict himself. His argument was contradicting what actually happened in the tackle. So
yeah,
play on.
Too many head knocks away, but it works to our advantage. Let's go through our team first of all. Gutherson, I'm not going to do the fancy graphics this week because I haven't loaded it. Gutherson at fullback once again. Sivo and then Sean Russell returns to the wing, playing 29 minutes of Parramatta and scoring 3 tries is a great accomplishment. So let's go again. Penasini and Blake in the centres, Brown and Moses, Hopgood at lock, second rower of Cartwright, Aduri, Paulo Hodgson, Campbell Gillard, bench of. Can we drop this bloke?
Just call him JM.
JM, yeah. Momasia, yeah. Murchie, Greg. I want better, Greg. And Makatoa hoping to get in the field this time. 18th man, as usual, has disappeared up here, which is obviously Jake Arthur. Stock standard there. They've been named 18 for Jake. Simonson, Ogden at Rodwell. Hopefully Rodwell makes his debut this week, boys. I've got a feeling. And Hayes Dunster, who didn't return last week, I found interesting. So obviously it'd be good to get a New South Wales Cup game under his belt. Look, obviously the one change there is Russell coming into the team. No surprise, really. Kind of confirmed that he did have that locked up. But Lumi's just being dropped back to the never. Like he's gone from starting on the wing. You can't even get a spot in the 22. He's
gone from New South Wales Cup to first grade to nowhere.
Yeah, that's what I said. Is he named in New South Wales Cup? No one looked at the New South Wales Cup team. I have fears.
I'll look now.
You talk
maybe
about the center. He is.
Maybe he's head knock. Maybe he's got.
I just find it funny how Blake can go from being number 2 to not in the top 22. And Dunster, who hasn't played a game, all of a sudden is there.
Well, you'd have to figure that if
he's on the wing for New South Wales Cup.
If Russell wasn't suspended, he would have started round 1 anyway.
Is it to do with top 30? He's only in the top 30. So they can't name.
No, Cheney is not in the top 30. Lumi is.
Oh, Lumi
was on training.
Lumi got upgraded after the Newcastle game.
Okay.
Which was a stupid choice. They really should upload Cheney. Anyway, I mean, that club makes some poor choices. Back to the game. Obviously, Friday, 6 o'clock against the Cronulla team. No secret that Nico Hines is obviously out. We only played Cronulla once last year, which was that disappointing 18-16 loss where Ray Stone had a brain fart before he became a hero. We've got a pretty all right record against them lately. It's been a bit up and down, but in home games, we seem to always turn up against them. We've only played them once actually at Commbank Stadium, which was 2021. It seems like we never get to play them much twice in a year. Last time we played them twice in a season was 2019. So obviously, look, they're a top 4 team last year. They're one of the teams I did have falling a bit this year. And my reason around that was based on Nico Hines having a bit of, I know it's not his second year syndrome. He's obviously not there. We're $1.50 favourites. And in my opinion, it's a game we really should win. I think we can actually, if things click, I think we'll win this game comfortably. That's just my opinion. I'll go to you first, Joel. You're the guest. Your thoughts on the game?
I'm a little bit worried, to be honest. Yeah, I think Cronulla to slip a little bit as well, similar to the reasons you said. But I just think they're a really tough football side who will just stay in the contest a little bit like Melbourne did to us last weekend. And the fact that we've got quite a hard run to start with worries me in terms of where the players are at. I don't think we will smash them at all. I think this is going to be another one of those 2 to 4 point wins or something like that. So I like the lineup. I like Russell coming back. It's good to see him back, and mentioned he scored a hat-trick last time he played for us at Commbank. So hopefully he can do something similar to that. He's got a bit of wheels about him as well, which I think we need in the back line, a bit more speed. So that would be nice. Something we're really missing. But yeah, look, it's pretty much stock standard. Just a bit more time to gel. It's quite funny that people mention that gelling. We've seen the Dolphins win when they've had not much time to gel either. So a brand new team. So we've got majority of the players still together. Look, I'm looking forward. As I said, Hodgson for mine can really keep stepping up. Moses, will he announce it? Will he announce it that night? Who knows? I'm anticipating the halves to really step up this game and take control. I think Brad Arthur would have pulled him aside this week and had a big chat to him about probably letting a game slip that should have been 2 points for us, march on and show the competition what we've got this year. They'll be looking at them do that this week. You can't lose two at home to start the season. So you just got to tip us just for that fact purely, I think.
Well, last year we didn't lose back-to-back games, and obviously, like I said, starting with 2 games. Well, we've got 3 of our first 4 at home, so it's perfect season. So even though they're tough games, the games you got to win. What I took out of that is you think Sean Russell's got more speed than Oxford Street, so it's good. We do need some speed in the back line. Matt, what do you got?
Yeah, I think Russell coming back will help us get out of our own half with his hit-ups. Like, he's obviously bulked up a little in the off-season. I think he might float around. Hey, we've got a good sports science.
Elkin.
Yeah, Elkin. Shout out to the Sharks for sending him our way. But anyway, that's all in the past.
Pickle juice he's giving him, isn't it? It's pickle juice.
I don't know. I've been trying to find out, and I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, they won't even tell me, and I'm talking to the nutritionist what vitamins she's giving them. But yeah, so yeah, I think Russell coming back's obviously that's probably our strongest side. With the high ball and thing, I feel like Mitch is going to click this game. I feel like Mitch and Dylan, after seeing the way the players came out after the game last week, I feel like there's no way we're going to lose this week. It's the first time in 4 years we've been outside the 8 as well. Like, that's another issue in stats that we didn't want to have. But yeah, I feel like, we're not going to lose 2 in a row. I don't know. I just feel like we'll click and just move on. And they'll take the 2. That's all I want them to do. Just every penalty, take a friggin' 2. Don't worry about
full-time Parramatta 8-0, 4 penalties. All right, Troy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really looking forward to this game against Cronulla Friday night in Adam's favourite time slot. We don't have that actually good record against the Sharks. We lost the last 2 out of 3, so I don't know what
I said.
I don't know. Yeah, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but yeah, as you said, Matty, Mitchie, he might step up. He might score another great chip and chase try like he did last year against the Sharks. But shout out to Junior as well, playing his 150th NRL game.
Eels
Is that
game.
correct, Matty?
Eels.
Oh, Eels game. There you go.
So it's Mitch's 200th, and then it's...
Well, it should be 199 because he didn't play last week.
Okay, so Junior's 150th Eels NRL game, and he played 46 at Canberra, so he's upping towards 200. And
that's 196, bro.
And I said he's upping towards 200. And Mitchell played, I think, 67 for the Tigers, so he's getting.
How many of those were finals games for the Tigers, Troy?
I think that was 0. I think.
Okay,
I think the years he was there, they finished 9th. I think on a few occasions. But look, this will be a close game. Obviously, no Nico Hines for Cronulla again, which is a bonus for us. The only change, as you mentioned, was Sean Russell. So he will, as you said, lead us out of trouble a lot. He may even do some dropouts because he's got a massive boot on him. So Gutho might relinquish the short dropouts and Sean Russell might do the 50-metre job. So that might be good to see. But look, we need to get the win, get back on track. you said that Parramatta us didn't lose back-to-back games last year, or Cronulla didn't lose back-to-back games either. So Cronulla's going to be losing back-to-back games for the first time in 2 years this weekend, I reckon. But yeah, well, there you go. That's what I do. Research.
I was going to say, he tells Joel not to do any research because he's got it all. That's why.
No. But look, it's going to be good. It's going to be the return of Oregon Kafusi as well back to Commbank Stadium. Ooh. So he's off the bench playing against his old club. So
I saw him drop the ball with the line wide open on the weekend.
That'll be interesting to see if any of his former teammates rub his head into the ground or something like that. Or
Junior will smash him.
Yeah. Or maybe he might try and pull out one of the Parramatta calls, and hopefully we don't throw the ball to him. But who knows? See what happens. But it should be a good game, and looking forward to it.
Joey, some of your best. So I'm going to go where the game is won. I think most of it ticked off, but to me, where the game's won this week is obviously our forwards did our job last week. Our backline needs to be better. Our halves need to click. It just needs to come together. The game needs to come together. We need to get a bit earlier ball to our outside backs. Obviously, we've got a bit of speed out there, as Joel touched on. So need to get them that early ball, and I think that's where we're going to get over top of them. We don't really want to play. We don't want to play too much up-tempo football with Cronulla because I feel like that is one of their strengths. I know they're a tough team as well, so we just need to do the little things right that we didn't do right last week and get rid of those errors out of the game. I think we'll come away with it. Ready to get into our bold predictions, boys? Go, Troy, Joel. I don't know if we set you up for this or not, but
he knows. He knows.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go first, because we always make Matt go last. So I want your first try scorer.
Yeah, I want everyone takes mine every week.
Bold prediction in your score line.
First try scorer, I'll lock in Russell coming back. I think they'll really go that side quite a bit. Scoreline was the next one. Is that right?
Yeah.
I'll go Parra 18, Cronulla 10. So I think we'll get it done in a tighter sort of affair. And bold prediction, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, bold prediction.
I'll say both starting props will get a meat pie. That'll be my.
What's that? All right, hang on.
Yeah.
You keep going, Troy. You go. I'm gonna work that multi out because if you're gonna go Sean Russell first try scorer. This is what we like to do here. So we gamble responsibly.
Yeah, we gamble responsibly. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
So we are putting the shout out to Sportsbet or Bluebet or
Dabble.
M-Bet. Parramatta sponsor, M-Bet, if you're listening.
Which you're probably not. We're 58 minutes in. The only person that's probably listening right now is Heydan on his plane ride home. So
now we've got Troy on the podcast. You don't know the crowd he brings. He's famous now. He's
famous in Queensland.
Yeah.
All right, go Troy. I'll let you go while I work out this multi.
Okay, so my first try scorer for the game will be should I just remind you that I did get last week's first try scorer and how good was it?
We know.
To celebrate that one. I'm sure we're going to talk about that just a little bit later. But
before you go, I've got it.
Look,
it's $2,501 that you can power play for $2,550. So if Sean Russell scores the first try into Parramatta 1 to 12, Junior Reg is going to have a sneaky 5 on that now. I've drawn that up.
Okay. Well,
I'll come down to see if it comes off.
Yeah.
Our guest tonight has actually stolen my first try scorer, so well done, Joel. Great minds think alike. But look, Mike Acevo, first try scorer this week. Commbank Stadium. He's got a good record there. He's got to get a meat pie there, and the score will be 20-16. And bold prediction will be. Look, we said that Mitch was going to announce his re-signing last week before the game. After he comes out and has a man in the match performance on Friday night and we get the win in his, what is it again, Matty? 200th game. he'll announce his re-signing with Parramatta.
Dear God, I hope he just gets on the microphone and goes, "I'm not fucking leaving." That'll be perfect. Because I can just imagine that.
You know the social media team will do that one, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%.
So, there you go.
Thanks, Troy. Always
Write those down, Matty, because
it's got to happen one week. Just keep making your bold prediction. It's going to happen.
well,
I think we got one or two last year.
It worked with Will Penasini scoring the first try.
No,
here we go.
All right, well,
I'm sure we're going to go through last week's results after this.
I'm going to go first try scorer, Will Penasini, just to piss off Troy. Just a double. My scoreline's going to be 30. I'm going to go 34 to 10. I was going to go 30-10, but 34 because my bold prediction is Sean Russell and Will Penasini to combine for 4 tries between them. So that could be 3 and 1 or 2 and 2. Simple maths there for you. 1 and 3 the other way around.
What about 4 and 0?
Yeah, I know, because I can't do that because I reckon Penasini's going to score 1 and then I want Russell to score. So, yeah, I know. So that's my bold prediction anyway.
Mate.
Yeah, go Matt.
Hang on, I'm still writing.
We know it'll be something at 12.
Or 14.
All right. So scoreline 36 to 12. I had it 36 to 20, and then I'm like, nah, that's too many points. So 36 to 12. First try scorer, I got Hopgood. Little crash plays.
Might put him as captain in Supercoach this weekend then.
I already have. Got rid of Mitch.
He's got all the Parra players in it, so.
Yeah, I've got pretty much the whole team.
That's why I don't do Supercoach anymore.
And then my bold prediction is a lot of people almost got this, but Russell hat-trick.
Yeah, so I was going to go that, but then I just thought,
you're having him score 4 tries.
No, he's
combined.
I was going to go Russell hat-trick, but then I was going to go Russell first try scorer, but then it got taken, so I went Penasini. I thought, you know what, he might. I don't know. Anyway, it's not very bold, but it's already happened once.
All Russell's tries will be like cut out Penasini straight to Russell. Guffo's sweet play.
Yeah, well, I feel sorry for the blokes behind me who had Junior Paulo first try scorer last week. And he scored our second try. So $71. I think Heydan said that too, didn't he?
Heydan had Junior. He
was anytime, wasn't he? Did he say anytime?
He had first try scorer. Junior.
Yes, yeah. Which means he scores any time if he scores first try.
I put a
well, yeah, why don't you win that?
I put a sneaky 5 on our combined last week. Obviously, 2 out of 4 wasn't too bad. Got the
not as good as 2 out of
3.
The
bonus bet, but still got a bonus bet out of it. So shout out Sportsbet if you want to.
Once again, Sportsbet. Anyone?
Sponsors.
Any sponsor?
Matty, do you have last week's results there?
Oh my god, we all know you got it.
I think we lost. I don't know.
I think I ripped off the page because I was still angry.
We'll just go back to the video.
Yeah, I think someone got.
Right, everyone give Troy a clap. This is a virtual.
Mate, you know what? I'm gonna
add
sounds for next week. Just saying.
You are?
Okay, yeah. For when people get it right.
Yeah. It won't happen again. All right, that's all we've got time for. If you're still with us after an hour and 3 minutes, you've done well. Friday, 6 o'clock. I think we've got another one of these Friday 6 o'clock games. So it's 1 out of 2. See you at the stadium.
Don't forget, New South Wales Cup's playing before us as well. There's 2 games.
You want me to leave home at lunchtime?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Well, maybe not you, Adam.
I'll be there. I'll be there about 12, 1 o'clock.
Oh,
some people, but thank you very much, everyone.
So I'm just going to have breakfast and leave.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Joel from the League of Inches, for joining us tonight. Not too sure when Heydan is back, but I think you've done a pretty good job tonight. So I think maybe you might come off the bench again next week. We'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, I'm happy to make the call and replace Heydan now.
Well, he might have a bit of jet lag next week,
Yeah.
so you might be called up again, Joel. But don't forget, you can catch it on Apple and Spotify and YouTube as well, and subscribe so you get the downloads as soon as they happen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Go Parra.
Go Parra.
Go Parra.